for these kind of presentations of both. Our contribution is this one. The title is about this man, the birth of honest man, the scandal of the Marquis of Cabriñana, and the dawn of mass politics in Spain. I'm going to expose our text in behalf of both of us. In this paper, we present a corruption scandal linked to a man who emerged as a champion of administrative morality in the city of Madrid at the end of the 19th century. It broke out at a time of transition when reputation and public honor were still predominant values in Spanish society. At the same time, however, mass politics had not yet developed, and the politics of notables, dominated by the dynastic parties, guaranteed the stability of the liberal oligarchic regime of the Bourbon Restoration, 1875-1923. Concern for administrative morality was common throughout Europe. However, in France, unlike in Spain, it was possible to appeal for excess of misuse of power. France had an administrative justice system did not emanate from the executive power as in Spain. The Spanish model followed the opposite path, that of strengthening the state without sufficiently warranting the defense of citizenship. In this context, culturally dominated by regenerationist ideas, a hero was forged who was able to publicly denounce bribery and corrupt practices that were taking place in the city council of the Spanish capital. Until then, he had been known only in aristocratic circles for his chivalry, his keenness, his talent, and his enviable skills as a marksman, and who suddenly found himself exalted to the heights of popularity because at that historic moment he embodied the ideal of the people vox populi. I quote from the El Liberal, this democratic newspaper. 31 May 1929. At that moment, they reminded a big demonstration against in favor of Marquis of Cabriñana. At the height of the Cuban War of Independence, 1895, which 3 years later led to the loss of the last colonial strongholds, the scandal had national and international repercussions. Let us present the Marquis of Cabriñana del Monte, Julio de Urbina y Ceballos Escalera. He was a member of an aristocratic family with a long military tradition. His father, José de Urbina y Dayoy, was a first cousin of the Peninsular War hero. He was Lluís Dayoy, who died on the celebrated famous 2nd May, 1888 in Madrid. He tried to lead a military career, but he doesn't have a success, and he graduated in law and entered in Francisco Silvela's law buffet. On the contrary, he led a civil service career as a civil servant. First of all, as a chief inspector in the railway corps, after head of administration in the Ministry of Finance. At that time, the scandal broke out. Director General of Communications, President of the Supreme Public Finance Court, and finally Public Prosecutor at the Court of Audit. A long civil service career. He published one of the most remarkable works about the duel, the lances entre caballeros. This book contains a historical review of the duel and a draft basis of the drafting of a code of honor in Spain. This work was published in the first year of the second 20th century. He achieved renown among the best equestrian and fencing enthusiasts, and as well as in gymnastics and a cyclist, and eventually became president of the Spanish Equestrian Society and the first president of the Spanish Olympic Committee, just for the first period between 1906 and 1909. Okay, the next step, the event. In a series of letters published for weeks in the periodical press of the Spanish capital, Julio de Rubina y Ceballos de Escalera, Marquis of Cabriñana, employed as a head of administration in the Ministry of Finance, revealed that he had been instigated to participate in auctions for the purchase of land. In his denunciations, known as the Campaign for the Defense of the Administrative Morality of the Madrid City Council, the Marquis pointed out the responsibility of several councillors in the use of fraudulent means to acquire property. The denunciation of public opinion, the questioning of reputation and honor, developed in parallel in the discussions in the Congress of Deputies, in the Spanish Parliament, the low chamber, and in the opening of a judicial battle. On the night of 19 November 1895, as we show in the slide, the Marquis was the target of an assassination attempt that almost cost him his life. Weeks later, on 9 December, the Unión Mercantil, which was the lobby which represented the interest of merchant and industrial entrepreneurs, and various organizations, opposition parties, and political personalities joined one of the most successful protest demonstrations in Spain, or better Madrid, at the turn of the century. About 80 and 100,000 people, organized by a democratic newspaper, El Liberal, as we pointed before, and supported by most of the Madrid press. Its aim was to denounce corruption and the need for regeneration of the country. Among those denounced by Julio de Urbina in the courts were two former mayors of Madrid, numerous councillors, members of the aristocracy, deputies and senators, landowners, judges, architects and civil servants. What were the repercussions? The national repercussions, first of all, news of the attack caused enormous public consternation. It aroused a flood of political and personal support and initiated a campaign of solidarity by business corporations and opposition parties, culminating in one of the largest political demonstrations in fin de siècle Spain, attended by tens of thousands of people. The demonstration became a battering ram against the corruptness of the city council in the hands of the Liberal Party. At that time, there were two parties, the Conservative and the Liberal one, and against the central government in the hands of the Conservative Antonio Cánovas do Castillo. He was the leader of the Prime Minister. Against the policies of the hegemonic parties of the Spanish political system, system. The Marquis of Cabriñana became a paradigm of an honest man, a fighter against corruption and a model for the regeneration of the system. Support continued to come in the form of subscriptions to cover the cost of legal cases in the course of justice. He was sentenced to 2 months and 1 day's arrest for reckless endangerment, which further inflamed tempers as the court decision was considered by the public opinion arbitrary. Julio de Urbina failed in his attempt to be elected as an independent candidate in the general elections of 1896 in the face of the dynastic party machines, but he finally won his seat in the lower assembly of Camera, Congress of Deputies, in the general elections of 1898. In 19, he published his book, Lances entre Caballeros, Reseña Histórica del Duelo, y un proyecto de bases para la redacción de un código de honor en España. It is considered to be the culminating work of the regulations on duels for honor, which were so abundant in Spain at the turn of the century. The contrary in England and in Great Britain, the duels were eliminated. In the years to come, the Marquis of Cabriñana continued his civil service career in the Ministry of Finance. In 1924, he was called upon to take part in the administrative moralization campaign led by General Miguel Primo de Rivera, a device that was intended to legitimize his dictatorship. Julio de Urbina was appointed president of the newly created Supreme Court of the Treasury, and from that position he was to inspire the codes of conduct, of behavior or conduct, and good practices of the new senior civil servants. What were the international repercussions? Well, we have chosen a pair of the codes which were published in the La Dépêche, le Journal de la Démocratie. One of them, the first one. The first is a quote who comes from a pamphlet or a small book, Les élections d'Espagne. The author was Lefebvre Pontalis, published in Paris in 1896, and the most important here is pointed at the denunciation. I don't know if you can read in French. Ces dénonciations qu'il s'est proposé de porter devant le Congrès avaient été suivies des procès que le gouvernement avait été obligé d'engager et qui n'avaient pu aboutir à aucune condamnation. C'était en Espagne la répétition, c'était le plus important, la répétition de ce qui s'était passé en France pour le Panama. It's the, yes. And the second one, comes from the La Dépêche, the 12th of December 1895. It was about the huge demonstration in Madrid. Elle ouvre un conflit entre l'opinion publique et les cabinets canois et sur une question de moralité. C'est précisément parce que l'opinion publique se montre aussi maîtresse d'elle-même, and we want to stress this last sentence. L'opinion publique se montre ainsi maîtresse d'elle-même que la crise est grave. And the last one, always in La Dépêche, Journal de la Démocratie, published in 21 janvier 1897, de deux choses l'une, ou ces faits sont démontrés inexacts, c'est très important. Et alors, il fallait punir rigoureusement les Marquis of Cabriñana pour dénonciation calomnieuse, ce qui est un crime abominable, ou si ces faits sont réels. Et alors, il fallait acquitter Cabriñana avec honneur, et les félicitant de son courage civique. Le tribunal n'a pris ni l'un ni l'autre parti. Il a écarté le chef de dénonciation, il a retenu le griffe d'imprudence téméraire avec quelques semaines de prison. The next step. Yes, we want to address these strong ideas. First one, corruption in the transition from the politics of notables to Spanish mass society, the repercussions of the aftermath of the scandal in the national and international press. Did it remain a simple scandal, or did it become a real affair that changed the conditions of politics in Spain at the end of the century? The second one, criticism of bad government. The Cabriñana scandal as a thermometer of the Spanish regenerationism and of the transformation that were taking place in the public sphere and the inability of the dynasty parties, the political parties of the regime, in this case the conservative one, to dialogue with public opinion. There was a contrast between the two honest people. No.
Hi ha algun problema aquí? Sorry.
There is something wrong. Okay. Yes, no. Criticism of bad government. The Cabriñana scandal, yes. There was a contrast between the true honest people, fearful and distrustful, and the vileness of the politics of the regime's parties. The creation, the third one, the creation of a populist myth and the sacralization of politics. The victim, the martyr, the new Jesus Christ, Vox Populi. A special attention will be given to the analysis of political cartoons and the language of probity, honor, and morality, its impact of the transformation of ethical, probity, and reputational models. Perhaps. The role of rumor and anonymous denunciation, defamation, and slander in public debate. The crisis in the regime of Strath. And finally, Julio Urbina, our honest man, theorist of honor in Spain. How did his experience influence his model of on-dwell regulations? Yes, and yes, the martyr. We can show you the previous slides, please. Here, the martyr, the electoral martyr, because he failed in obtaining a seat in the parliament, Spanish parliament. It's magical, no? There is something. Yes.
You are touching something.
Yes, I think this the problem was
touching the keyboard.
Okay, the keyboard. Yes. In prison, the scandal. Yes, here we can see
Broom, symbol of anti-corruption.
Yes, the military and yes, and the cleaner, anti-corruption. Yes. Okay, the scholar, the students, demonstration. Yes. Parallelly with the huge demonstration, a pacific or peaceful demonstration. In addition. And concluding remarks, yes, corruption scandals should be dealt with in the light of these perspectives, that which affects normative systems and values, that which concerns the forms of political communication, that which influences the motivations of the actors, and that which has an impact of the mechanism of power. The Cabriñana scandal revealed The Cabriñana scandal revealed the difficulties that the dynastic parties had in dealing with a genuine mobilization of public opinion. It revealed a remarkable inability to integrate citizens' demands for public mobilization. It did not monopolize the political agenda in the Spanish capital, but it did lead to the resignation of 2 ministers from Cánovas del Castillo conservative cabinet. So Francisco Romero Robledo, it was very famous for electoral manipulation, and the denounced mayor and minister of public works, Alberto Bosch Fustegueras. The Marquis confronted the establishment as if it were a Don Quixote, while being sanctified as the martyr of a noble cause. In populist terms, the healthy people against corrupt politicians. A people who represented themselves as distant from politics, which they feared and felt distrustful and apathetic. It was a question of honor, of public reputation, on the part of an aristocrat who had devoted his entire life to serving the nation as a civil servant. The nobleman's desire for notoriety, for distinctions after all, was connected with the unease of civil society in Madrid. His popularity grew not only because he was unharmed in an attack, but also because of the judicial setback he suffered when he was accused of reckless imprudence in his denunciations, which in reality had no effect on the councillors who were prosecuted and whose cases were dismissed. He managed to win a seat in the general elections of 1898 after a previous attempt marked by electoral fraud. As a member of parliament, he presented a bill regulation the civil administration of the state. His vocation, rather than being a politician, was that of a conservative civil servant who managed to carve out a reputation as a healer of the administration. Surely, the irregularities denounced must have been well-founded. Otherwise, there would not have been such as a peaceful and well-attended demonstration, just as the Marquis would not have committed himself to Primo de Rivera's dictatorship in his campaign to moralize the public administration between 1923 and 1924. In addition, it is important to highlight that it's necessary, it's needed to review the life cycle of the scandal. And the second one, we think that it's needed to review the impact of the old and the new political communication systems among the public indignation. And thank you so much for your attention, and we will hope your feedbacks about the presentation. Thank you.